Well, hello my friends, we meet again. It has been a while, where should we begin? Today we are escaping the gravitational pull of death and Megadeth and looking back towards the roots of heavy metal. Dio's Holy Diver is a bona fide scene classic and a song which is more than worthy of taking a deeper look at. But before we get into the video, 90% of you are not subscribed, so what's the problem? Come on, help me out here. And if you would also be so kind as to hit the like button, it really helps the channel grow. Check out my links down below. And anyways, with all that self-shilling out of the way, let's get into the Holy Diver deep dive. Holy Diver is the second song of the 1983 release by Dio entitled Holy Diver. Dio was formed after Ronnie James Dio parted ways with Black Sabbath in 1982. Dio himself was then joined by former Black Sabbath drummer Vinny Appice, as well as guitarist Vivian Campbell and bassist Jimmy Bain holding down the low end. And stylistically, the album sort of continues the sound of the two Dio Sabbath albums, although with a more uplifting and grand and energetic sound to it. The title track of this album, Holy Diver, is an excellent example of this. Sort of teetering on the edge of the more bluesy heavy metal of the 70s, with a healthy dose of the more melodic, minor key focused music of the new wave of British heavy metal bands. It really just hits a sweet spot between the two, in my opinion. This melding of styles is of course fronted by the majestic, powerful, and entrancing singing of the late great Ronnie James Dio himself. One of the GOAT voices in metal, his voice is compelling, energetic, and extremely dynamic. Melodic, yet with an aggressive touch that just simply works very fantastic for this type of metal music. And so let's start with the music of the song and we'll get to the lyrics after. The song itself starts off with nearly a minute of ambience. Wind blows, followed by subtle swell of a bass synth playing the root note of C. Sounds of crackling thunder can be heard in the distance, as well as a little synth melody is played. This little synth melody is very similar to some of the vocal lines that Dio will sing later on in the song. And this is a very cool little touch, and unlike the other vocal lines, which resolves it back to the root note of C, this little pattern ends on the supertonic, which is D, which in the key of C, it badly wants to resolve to either the third of E flat or the root of C. Thus, ending this little pattern on the D creates a lot of natural tension, which is what this entire intro is about. It's trying to build tension, build the ambience, build the atmosphere. And we also get introduced to the key of the song and some of the chord progressions that we will often hear throughout the song. The song, which is in C minor, it introduces us to the C minor, B flat, and A flat major chords, or minor 1, major 7, major 6th chord progression, which is used in the majority of the song. It is an interesting way to prime the listener for what's to come. Some other notes are played and bent using the synth's bending wheel, and it all serves to just build a ton of tension and atmosphere for the listener. And in my mind, this entire ambient intro really resembles the album cover here. You know, sort of like the dark cliffs and the ocean down below. It really sounds the way that looks, so that makes any sense to you guys. As the intro comes to a close, we get what could either be a synth or a vocal line slowed down and used as a down riser into when the band starts playing. A great intro to the song, and one which I never skip. It is just long enough to keep your attention, yet not so long for it to wear out its welcome. Then with a bang, we get right into the song proper. Played at around 92 beats per minute, all the instruments start off immediately playing this iconic opening riff to the song. And as the riff concludes, we get the same chord progression that the synth introduced to us earlier. That again is the minor 1, major 7, major 6 progression here. Immediately recognizable, this opening riff is simply a classic metal riffage at its best. Anchored around the root of the C5 power chord, it goes to the 2, the 3, and then the 7. This whole thing is built upon this riff more or less, and the riffs which follow are very similar and use the same power chords. Great stuff, love this riff, just classic stuff. Just classic material here, which is now a good time to discuss the structure of the song. It is essentially structured with 4 verse sections, which are each followed by unique sections. So verse 1 has a repeat of the intro riff, verse 2 is followed what we could consider the chorus of the song, verse 3 is followed by the solo section, and verse 4 is then followed up by the coda outro to the song, which just puts lyrics over top of a slightly changed intro riff. So essentially, the song has a structure of A, B, C, B, D, B, E, B, A, with the B sections being the repeated verse sections, which essentially means that the song is structured as a classical rondo. That is a main theme or refrain, which is contrasted by alternating sections, which are sometimes called digressions, before ending on a modified version of the first section. A rondo meaning round, right? The song sort of completes itself in a round fashion. It's cyclical. This style of songwriting was used extensively in opera and Baroque music, which is interesting as Dio was claimed to have listened to a great deal of opera growing up, and you can really hear in his vocal approach this sort of dramatic, operatic style. So in a way, the song Holy Diver is structured very uniquely as a rondo opera, which is interesting stuff as the structure of the song has always struck me as being very captivating and very interesting, very unique, and I just simply didn't have the words to describe it until I started writing for this video here. So yeah, very interesting that it's structured that way. Very cool, very cool. And after the first 4 bars of music, Dio comes in with one of the all-time great ad-libs in metal. Just pure amazing talent on display. Ad lib is short for ad libitum, which is a Latin phrase meaning at one's pleasure. And while Dio certainly sings what he is feeling, it is us who derive all the pleasure from listening to his very powerful and captivating voice dance around these notes. It's great. This is also a good time to discuss the vocal style of Ronnie James Dio. I've already glazed him enough so far, but I would just like to point out a small detail of his singing here. The French composer Claude Debussy once said that, quote, "Music is the space in between the notes," end quote. And I truly think that this fits Ronnie James Dio's singing style very, very well. His vocal style is very curt and aggressive in how he approaches these vocal lines. He almost never lingers on any notes besides a few special occasions, with most of the vowels in between the pulse of the music, with sharp consonants ending them directly on beat, which when combined with his power, his vibrato, and his extremely dynamic performances, it creates a very compelling and intense vocal style. He also sounds like he truly believes the words he is saying, so it is just fantastic singing, fantastic performances, and yeah, like, there's just so much you can learn from the way Ronnie James Dio approaches his singing. So thus, we then move into the first verse of the song, which finds the instruments playing a pattern which is a quarter note followed by 2 eighth notes, which repeats for the entire bar, which essentially is an Iron Maiden style gallop, which when played at a slower tempo and palm muted, gives these verses a very tense and purposeful feel to it, like we are traveling towards some destination. The effect of these slower paced gallops was also used on the Dio Sabbath album song Heaven and Hell for similar effect. Sing me a song, you're a singer. Vinny Appice matches these gallops perfectly with his hi-hat playing, and this all just gives a sensation that we are moving towards some end goal. Very nice stuff here, which gives a lot of room for the vocals to shine. You've been down too long in the midnight sea. Oh, what's becoming of me? The first verse contains these lyrics. Holy diver, you've been down too long in the midnight sea. Oh, what's becoming of me? Ride the tiger. You can see his stripes, but you know he's clean. Oh, don't you see what I mean? Great, fantastical lyrics, which we will discuss later on in the video again, but this motif of a holy diver and a tiger metaphor will appear throughout much of the song. And immediately, though, the holy diver in a midnight sea brings images of the cover art to me, right? You can see the priest in the water with the big demon Murray, you know, whipping the chains around. That's like sort of holy diver, midnight sea, but again, we'll get to that a little bit later on. The band then moves briefly into the section. I sort of call this just the Gotta Get Away section, is that the lyrics that are sung here. Gotta get away, holy diver. Before they once again move on into the intro riff. During this part, Dio sings, Gotta Get Away, Holy Diver. This small little section here foreshadows a lot what's to come in the future of the song, which is very, very clever songwriting. Just gives you a little taste of what's to come. Then they move on to verse 2, which is largely the same instrumentally, besides like a little different rolling tom fill from Vinny Appice. Gotta get away, holy diver. In this verse, Dio sings, "Got shiny diamonds, like the eyes of a cat in the black and blue. Something is coming for you. Look out. Brace for the morning. You can hide in the sun till you see the light. Oh, we will pray it's alright." Some more very poetic and vivid metaphors here. Shiny diamonds like a cat's eye in the dark, hiding in the sun till you see the light. Just truly, truly excellent lyrics here. I also love how he pronounces like the eyes of a cat in the black and blue. Very staccato pronunciation on the plosive syllables of cat and black. It really gives the line some grand impact and makes you pay attention. Like the eyes of a cat in the black and blue. It's just great. Here, check it out.
Got shiny diamonds like the eyes of a cat in the black and blue.
I also love the lookout line. Dio adds some grit in his voice here, so it's very dynamic compared to the way he was singing the stuff previously in this verse. Dio also adds some variety to this verse with some lower harmonies in the first 2 bars of each 4-bar sequence. It sounds like he's singing a third below the main line. It just gives enough tantalizing harmonies to keep you entertained before moving again to a single voice with no harmony on the last 2 bars.
Until you see the light, oh, we will pray it's alright.
This is a subtle songwriting touch which sort of emphasizes these other lines, but when the harmonies go away, it sort of makes you lean in and pay more attention to these lines. It's great songwriting here. The band then moves on to the Gotta Getaway section, except they play it about twice as long as they previously did. Dio adds some harmonies to the Gotta Getaway as well.
Gotta get away, get away.
Then right before the band goes into what I would consider the chorus, they play the sharpened 7th power chord, which is the B flat 5, which is actually out of key, but this out of key power chord makes it so that the resolution into the chorus is even stronger than if they simply remained on the minor 7th.
Get away. Between the velvet.
Just a nice touch to add just this one little out of key note just to bring you right into that chorus. Great stuff. The song's just filled with little touches like that. And we now move on to the chorus of the song, which is ironically only played twice.
Between the velvet lies.
I know a chorus is usually repeated multiple times, but to me, this feels like the chorus of the song. Here we see the band move to a very staccato pattern with these chord stabs that follow the main chord progression of the song. That is the minor 1, the major 7, and the major 6 chords.
The vision never dies.
These stabs give the vocals a ton of room to shine, and they sure do. Dio sings here, "Between the velvet lies, there's a truth that's hard as steel. The vision never dies. Life's a never-ending wheel." More simply great lyricism here, and for the longest time, until this analysis, I actually thought he was saying like a never-ending wheel, but I suppose the actual lyrics of life's a never-ending wheel means just about the same thing and makes just about as much sense easily.
Life's a never-ending wheel.
I love the metaphors here of velvet lies and steel truce. Dio is essentially saying that lies and falsehoods are fragile, easily damaged and torn like velvet, yet the truth, it's cold steel, it's unbreakable, it's unbendable, it's there. Great stuff. Love those metaphors. Another great touch vocally here is that Dio is doubling his main vocal line here. That means he sung it the exact same way twice, which is then layered together. This process of doubling is used to make a part stand out in a mix, as even though the lines are the same, the subtle small differences between them trick your brain into hearing it as much louder and fuller. He only does his doubling technique in one other place in the song, which we will get to, but the doubling is just a very nice touch to make the chorus vocals here really stand out.
Between the velvet lies.
Dio also adds a harmony on every second bar, sort of like a call and response, right? Doubled one bar, then doubled with a harmony in the next. And these are harmonized in thirds above the main melody line. Not overusing harmonies for the entire chorus makes the times where there are harmonies stand out. A classic example of strategic harmonies being used expertly here. And I also just wanted to highlight the drumming on the chorus here. Those snare rolls that are played in the breaks and the chords are excellent and give a great touch, which adds a ton of energy to the chorus. And when you play guitar, you almost want to play, like mute the chords and You almost want to play that yourself. It's just so natural sounding. It just works so well. After the chorus, the band then moves into the third verse, which is musically and structurally very, very similar to the second. Dio also gives us harmonies on the first 2 bars before moving again to a singular voice. Say, holy diver, you're the star of the masquerade. No need to look so afraid. Jump, jump, jump on the tiger. You can feel his heart, but you know he's mean. Some light can never be seen. Another very interesting earworm ad-lib that is the repeated jump, jump, jump on the tiger line. It's very strange and unique and is very syncopated with the beats of the drums, and it always gets stuck in my head. Just jump, jump, jump on the tiger.
Jump, jump, jump on the tiger.
I also love the breathy part of the heart is right on beat as well. You can feel his heart, but you know he's mean.
Feel is hot, but you know he's mean. Some light can never.
Just great little touch to use the sort of unvoiced, breathy part of the H right on beat. Just works really well. Another great touch. Just that's how you know he's just a fantastic singer. The last line of this verse is also doubled to make it stand out and to raise the energy of the song before it moves on into the solo section. It's another small little touch, and I'm always very, very impressed that he nearly matched his vibrato exactly on the 2 takes. Truly, truly a great vocal performance on the song. That's very, very impressive to do.
Some light can never be seen. Yeah.
And so now that we move on into the solo section here, the solo section instrumentally is similar to the chorus, but here the chorus stabs allow even more room, as rather than 2 stabs per measure, they only play the stabs 1 time per measure. This gives the wonderful solo played by Vivian Campbell a ton of room to work with. The chord progression is also different from what's being played in most of the song, which makes this solo section also stand out from the rest of the song. But yeah, the solo is excellent, one which features a ton of bluesy licks, and even some more shreddy moments. If you want to see someone break down and how to play the solo even further, I recommend you watch this excellent video by PDX Guitar Freak. Great video there. You can learn a lot on how to play this here. I love seeing someone break down the solo slowly, and I could do this in these songs, but honestly, I'm just not a good enough guitarist, so... And there's usually a lot of videos on them anyways, so yeah, go check out his video. And musically, to me, this solo feels very inspiring, almost like a rallying call to this Holy Diver character. Starting out lower, before over the course of the solo, it slowly rises in intensity and in pitch. Halfway through the solo section, the band returns to the slow gallop rhythm, but with different chords underneath it. Vivian resolves the solo back home on the root note of C, and the note is held out and fades in volume as the 4th verse starts. All in all, a great little solo section, and the drastic change in rhythm really helps the solo section stand out in the song. Thus, the 4th verse starts in a very rondo-esque way. This 4th verse contains the exact same lyrics as the 1st verse, although they are sung much differently. Holy diver, you've been down too long in the midnight sea. Oh, what's becomin' of me? No, no, ride the tiger. You can see his stripes, but you know he's clean. Oh, don't you see what I mean? I have to try so hard not to sing that while I'm just speaking the lyrics. It's very hard not to sort of like sing talk it, I guess. Great touch by Vinny Appice here to synchronize his drum fills and variations on drumming to the words that Dio was singing as well. It's just like small little details like this which keep your attention and make you come back listening for more and more. Like if you just played it the same way every time, it'd be boring, right? But if you change it up too much, it'd be just too much. But just the small, subtle changes really work very well. This is something that Death also does very well. So if you want, check out my deep dives on lots of my Death songs here. You can check out the playlist here. The band then moves again into the Gotta Getaway section, except this time, they again double the length. So every time this little section is played, they double the length of it. Very small detail which makes it feel as if the song has developed more the further you get into it. It's also nice to see the band put a little more effort than simply, okay, now play this part again here. You know, instead they took the time to think about it and develop the parts to match the song and the story they were trying to tell. It's just really, really good, solid songwriting. And now the band moves into the final section, which we see the return of the opening riff, although it is slightly changed as I explained earlier on. And here we get to hear Ronnie James Dio really start leaning into the song, giving us some very powerful singing lines to wrap up the song. This end section, coda, whatever you want to call it, really works well to end the song. We find ourselves back at the beginning. The riff is familiar, it's cyclical. Remember, quote, life's a never-ending wheel. It fits in well with the theme of the song, but rather than simply playing the intro riff again, the tempo was just ever so slightly faster. But yeah, it wraps itself up very nicely. Great songwriting. I love this rondo song structure. It's very interesting, very unique. So if you know of any other metal songs which also use this, so please let me know down below. Then the song slowly fades out, which I always interpret as the song being told is unfinished, unresolved, it continues on. But if you want to hear the song resolved and have a definite ending, then listen to the 2022 Joe Barresi remix. It omits the fade out and shows us what we've all been missing for the last 40 years or so, when you get the band ending the song. It's very cool. I wish more bands would release these sort of unfaded out versions of the tracks. Like, you know, it's this time, like, give us the end. Like, come on, please. Anyways, Holy Diver is just an excellent song musically. It sounds rather simple at first listen, but peeling back some of the layers reveals a very purposefully and masterfully crafted and constructed song. One of my all-time favorites, easily. But what and who exactly is this Holy Diver? Let us take a look at the lyrics in their entirety here. In this interview with Banger TV from 2004, Dio explains how this song is about a Christ-like figure on another planet. He does the same thing that happened here on Earth, and then the people do not want to let him go. It's a song about the selfishness of humanity, he says. Quote, "We need you, you are ours," end quote. Link to the interview is down in the description, and while I think this is a perfectly fine explanation of the song, and coming from Dio himself, who am I to disagree? But to me, the best art can be looked at and interpreted in many different ways, and different people can find many different meanings within great art. You know, everyone has a different idea of what the Mona Lisa is smiling about. So, let me take you through what I believe the song Holy Diver is about. Holy Diver to me is about the indomitable will to achieve, to create, and to become something greater than you are. The Holy Diver is inside everyone, and Dio himself is pleading for him to come back. This is somewhat similar to what he himself has said about the song, as Christ has saved humanity from its sins. This Holy Diver is here to save you from your sins, from yourself. So in a way, we are all holy divers. But you know, let me explain. I will be personifying the Holy Diver for the explanation, but keep this little introduction that I told you in mind as we go through. Quote, "Holy Diver, you've been gone too long in the midnight sea. Oh, what's becoming of me?" End quote. This opening line of the song brings images to me of someone departing. While we could look at the sea as being literal, to me a midnight sea is the night sky, the endless sea of stars and darkness. Perhaps this midnight sea could also be referring to the heavens. Maybe this Holy Diver has departed not only from Earth, but from life as well. It could also be referring to the dark and endless depths of one's own mind. Lost in the deep and dark cold waters, one may lose themselves in this eternal midnight sea. Either way, a midnight sea is something dark, endless, confusing. You know, it's a very powerful metaphor and imagery that really brings many images to you. It's a great line. Quote, "Ride the tiger, you can see his stripes, but you know he's clean. Oh, don't you see what I mean?" End quote. A tiger is one of Earth's most famous and feared apex predators, a symbol of strength, power, and absolute courage all over the world. However, tigers are also one of the most dangerous animals on Earth. In fact, since 1880, tigers have killed more than 300,000 people. Thus, to ride a tiger, it is a metaphor for claiming ownership of your own power, your own courage, and most of all, taking ownership of these traits, which when misused can become extremely dangerous, not only to you, but to others around you. Tigers are expert ambush predators, extremely adept in stealth and camouflage. So if you see a tiger's stripes, either he wants you to see him or you are in extreme danger. But alas, you know this tiger is clean. This metaphor of a clean tiger is a very, very interesting one. To me, seeing a clean tiger's stripes is saying that this tiger wants you to see him. He isn't dangerous. He is yours to take hold of and ride. The strength and courage that may have departed with the holy diver can be found within yourself. Within this tiger that we all have inside us is our choice, and is our choice to ride the tiger or not. This short little section where Dio is singing, quote, "Gotta get away," end quote, is the evil voice inside of us telling to run away from this tiger, to be scared and cowardly, to run away from our true power as individuals. The next verse goes as follows, quote, "Got shiny diamonds like the eyes of a cat in the black and blue. Something is coming for you. Look out, race for the morning. You can hide in the sun until you see the light. Oh, we will pray it's all right." So here we can see this cat metaphor carried over. His eyes glimmering like diamonds in the dark. A great poetic metaphor, another one which has me scratching my head over. What exactly is coming for you? It seems to be a warning. These diamonds seem to maybe be referring to stars in the night sky, perhaps a metaphor that is carried over from midnight sea lines, and at night the sun is hidden. It goes away when the night comes. So to hide in the sun until you see the light means that you will hide yourself away until morning comes, until you find the light yourself. Maybe this light is the glimmering eyes of the tiger, waiting for you to prove yourself. This verse then is essentially saying to those who are hiding away, waiting for opportunity, for strength, for courage, for morning to come to you, it will not come until you stop hiding yourself away, until you stop hiding in the sun. The chorus also has some excellent metaphors, which I mentioned earlier, but I will get further into here. Quote, "Between the velvet lies, there is a truth that's hard as steel. The vision never dies. Life's a never-ending wheel." End quote. Here, Dio was saying to us that there are a lot of fragile falsities out there. These lies are soft and easily damaged, and if you believe these, then you maybe become velvet. And between these velvet lies is a truth, the cold, hard truth. If you find yourself astray, you will find yourself in these lies, and between those lies is the cold, hard truth that remains unchanged, static, cold, unforgiving, unbreakable. The vision that never dies is relating back to the tiger. It is the potential of your future self, the power and strength within you. That is the steel truth. That is the steel truth that never dies. It is eternal to humanity, to us as people. It is cyclical, never ending, and eternal to us as human beings. Quote, "Say, holy diver, you're the star of the masquerade. No need to look so afraid." End quote. A masquerade is the wearing of a disguise or an event where people pretend to be someone else. So here Dio was saying that you are the holy diver, you are the star of your own masquerade. Do not be afraid of this, that you can be whoever you desire to be. Remember, a masquerade does not necessarily have to be a pejorative term, as if bravery and courage is faked, that is still real courage and bravery. Quote, "Jump, jump, jump on the tiger. You can feel his heart, but you know he's mean. Some light can never be seen." End quote. Here he is encouraging us, the holy diver, to jump on the tiger, to go and ride him, to manifest yourself. You can feel the heart of this tiger, and he is mean. The word mean is a very interesting word in English. It has many, many meanings. See what I did there? Too often we associate this word with just one of the definitions, that is to be unkind, to be unwilling to do or to share something. Yet it can also be meant as aggressive or vicious, which are two words which are not necessarily related with being intentionally cruel, something which has been completely lost in today's culture and English language. The tiger attacks and kills its prey, not for malicious reasons, not for pleasure, not for cruelty's sake. The tiger acts the way it does because that is the tiger's nature. Thus, to me, the tiger's heart being mean does not mean to be cruel. It means to be aggressive and vicious, to be ferocious in your pursuits, to be unwilling to compromise. To succeed and ascend personally, you may find yourself needing to be a little bit mean. Quote, "Some light can never be seen." end quote. And this line speaks back to the second verse where the holy diver hides away in the sun until the morning light. What if this light can never be seen? Will you hide yourself away until it reveals itself? Or will you be like the nocturnal, mean tiger, its eyes shining in the dark of night? It hunts and it chews regardless if it's day or night. The tiger does not wait for the light. It does what the tiger must do regardless of circumstance. This line of thinking speaks to me very personally. I found myself waiting for inspiration to strike, wait until the perfect moment to get to work, to wait until I felt right to go to the gym, to practice the instrument, to write this YouTube video you're seeing right now. Yet if you hide in the sun, waiting for the new day's light, you may simply just never see it. Thus, one of the many tough lessons I've learned is that motivation or inspiration does not spontaneously come. It is earned. Earned through aggressive work and earned through grasping and riding the tiger yourself, being the holy diver. Thus, we get back to the repeat of the first verse. And after the song has run its course, this last verse feels a lot more triumphant and celebratory, rather than lamenting the departure of the holy diver. Here, we are almost celebrating the return of him, which is just truly, truly excellent songwriting. I love it. I had this album on CD when I was younger, and I cannot remember if in the liner notes it said if the last few lines of the song were holy diver, soul survivor, soul as in the metaphysical human soul, or soul survivor as in lone survivor. To me, either way, Dio was again celebrating the return of the holy diver, the spirit of the tiger, the sole survivor of this midnight sea. Thus, to conclude, Holy Diver to me is a song about the resilience of the self. Despite finding yourself lost in the deep, dark midnight sea, the steel truth is that you must ride the tiger to escape. You must be aggressive, courageous, and powerful like the tiger, avoiding these velvet lies and dark seas that may tempt you, and instead own that you are the star of your own masquerade. You can be the holy diver who achieves what he desires, lives up to its potential, and is not afraid. I know what I've derived from this song is very different from what Dio himself has said, and perhaps I was relating to the song a little bit too personally to be truly objective about it, but regardless, that is my thoughts on it. I would love to hear what you guys think this song is about, so feel free to write an essay down in the comments. I really try to read all of your wonderful and insightful comments, especially on these deep dive videos where you explain and express to me a little bit more deeper meanings about what songs mean to you. So Holy Diver is a very courageous song. The chord progression, singing, and solo sections all evoke feelings of power within the listener. The stoic and thought-provoking metaphorical lyrics add to this. A true metal masterpiece, this song has held up through 40 years. Love this song, great song. Thanks for watching. Check out my Patreon links down below. Thank you for watching, everyone, again. More to come, so subscribe. Cheers.